finally found him. I found the record I was looking for. I'm going to show you how I found a missing 8-year-old boy in the 1870 census. Coming up next. Meet my great-grandfather, Henry Gustav Henley. He went by Gus a lot of times. Now, I haven't looked at him in a while because I've been working on other branches and going farther deeper into the tree. But there was something missing in this record, and I had come back to this because it's tied to some other branches that I'm working on. And so I went, wait a minute, I went and looked in my notes. My research notes said, I have done this reasonably exhaustive research. I cannot find the 1870 census. And so I thought I would give it another shot. So the 1870 census was, clearly if he was born in 1862, then he should be about 8 years old. And honestly, his mother was also missing from the 1870 census. And after doing page by page kind of review of the census records for the 1870, where I knew there was some other family, I finally found her. But Henry, her son, was not listed in with her. Let me show you because it helps explain the story as to how I found her. So here is the 1870 census. And when we view her, and we're going to always drill into the record, we see Rebecca Henley, daughter Margaret, who's 3 years old, and Virginia 1. Well, where are the rest of her children? You can see that she has multiple children. She has Mary, Margaret, William, Henry, Ellen, Flora, Virginia, Oscar, and Fanny. There's a whole mess of kids that this woman has, okay? I'm not going to go into all of her story. I'm just explaining that in the 1870 census, once I found her, she's a single woman, she's a seamstress. Now, how do I know this is the right woman, first of all? Well, primarily because the ages of these two children are the right ages. While she says she's 35, she's actually 40, I believe. She is a seamstress and born in North Carolina. So we've got a lot of things that are working for us that are telling me that this is my great-great-grandmother. And if we go down the page, you always want to be looking up and down the page. I see her other son at 6 years old, bound as an apprentice farmer, born in North Carolina. This broke my heart. This is one of her children who is living nearby, but he is bound out as an apprentice farmer. This was common for single women who were having children out of wedlock, as Rebecca was. At 6 years old, her son William is farmed out. So where is my great-grandfather, Henry Gus Henley? He's not here. So I started searching this microfilm roll up and down, left and right, trying to find Henry Gus Henley. And all my searches were fruitless. I tried searching by Gus. I tried searching just by H. Henley. I tried searching by G. Henley. Nothing was coming up. I tried changing the last name from Henley to Henly, as her name is spelled incorrectly here. It is Henly here when I know that it is Henley in all other records. So that's when I got to thinking, well, if William is farmed out as a laborer at 6 years old, then maybe my 8-year-old Gus has been farmed out as well. But searching isn't finding him. So what do? This is when I pulled out my trick and I decided it's time to see if we can extract the data out of this entire census record and do some filtering to see if we can play with the filters to see if we can find Gus. And let me show you what I found. By the way, there is a handout for this episode. So it's got all of the step-by-step instructions. So that's the channel members, the patrons, and the Academy members, also on the website for individual purchase. All right, let's get going. Okay, as with everything that we do, we're going to start with the known and we're working to the unknown. So we're trying to find Gus. We have Rebecca, his mother, in the 1870 census. So we're going to drill into the 1870 census, and of course we're always going to drill all the way in. There's Rebecca. So now what we're going to do is we're going to pay attention to what image number we're on. We're on image 16. Now I'm placing bets that Gus is in this same role somewhere, but the search engines are just not working for me. I don't know if there's an extra space or an extra character hidden in there, but I can't find him. We're going to take note in our mind that Rebecca is on image 16. So what we're going to do is we're going to extract all of the data out of this roll. Now, normally what we do is we would go back 5 or 10 pages to the left and 5 or 10 pages to the right using these and kind of search for him. My gut instinct was that we need to do this entire roll. It's only 30 pages. We're going to extract all that data, and how we do it is we open this up, and first of all, we're going to see that all of this is already transcribed. So this is really helpful. Plus we can copy it, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to go back to image 1 and we're going to hit go. So remember, Rebecca's on 16. So what we're going to do for this very first page is we're going to hover our mouse over the left-hand side. We're going to click and we're going to drag all the way down to the lower right. I'm going to Control C or Command C if you're on an Apple. I'm going to copy that information. Then I'm going to bring a spreadsheet out. Now, if you're not into Excel, you can do this in Google Sheets, but I'm not going to demonstrate that today. Okay, so what I've done is I put a little bit of a source citation at the top, and I put the word image here. So what we want to do is we want to start on this next one because we need to keep track of the image numbers. So what we're going to do is we're going to right click, paste special. By clicking paste special, we're going to say text. Now, if you don't do this way, if you were just to go Control V to paste or just paste, it's going to put everything in one column, and you don't want that. So we're going to paste as special, and then we're going to put text. And bada bing. All of that information that we just copied, including the headers, are copied into our census sheet right here. This allows us to filter by field. We can't really do this kind of filtering on Ancestry, or you can also do this on Family Search. I'm going to put number 1 over here because this is image number 1. I'm going to copy all that down. I'm going to get rid of this word close. What I'm going to do is I'm going to continue to do this. Go back to Ancestry. I'm going to go to page 2. Now I'm on image number 2. Now this time I want to do this a little differently, and from here forward I do not need the headers anymore. Now we're going to take our mouse, we're going to go to the left of the number 1 line. I'm going to go all the way down and to the right. Control C to copy. Come back over here. I'm going to paste special text. Okay. There it is. This is image number 2. I'm going to grab that little handle on the lower right side. I'm going to click and I'm going to drag that 2 all the way down. We're keeping track of the image numbers because those image numbers are going to be important later on. So now we can see that we're starting to extract the data out of this one roll of census. So now that we have all of this highlighted, we're on image number 2. If we don't touch the screen and we only go to the right-hand button, everything stays highlighted on image number 3. All we have to do is Control C to copy, go back over here. We're already there. And then we're going to right-click, paste special, say text, say OK. We're going to label this as image number 3. We're going to grab the little handle in the lower right corner. We're going to drag it down. I'll show you why we're doing this in a minute. I'm going to do one more page as an example. Everything's still highlighted. We're going to go to the right. We're now on image number 4. Everything's still highlighted. Control C to copy. Back to our Excel spreadsheet. Right click. Paste special. Text. OK. By the way, something important you need to know is that you have to have a later version of Excel to do this. I'm going to drag the number 4 all the way down. We're going to save early, save often. Now I've already saved this as an extraction in my file, so keep that in mind. You need to save often. And by the way, I am using Office 365, which is the version I'm using, but I know some of the later versions of Excel, this works as well. Earlier versions, it will not. Okay, so we've extracted 4 pages of data here. As you can see, if we scroll down, we've got 4 pages. Well, there was 30 pages in this document, as you can see right here, but I've already done that for you. And so I'm going to show you now what we can do with this information. First of all, if we take our mouse and we hover over the number 4 here, because we want to preserve these headers so that we can see them, I'm going to come over here to freeze panes, and I'm going to say freeze panes. That way, when I'm down here and I'm scrolling, the headers stay there. In fact, we can make them bold and make them pretty if you want. That way you can see them. As we're scrolling around, the headers stay there so that we know what we've got. Now, we're doing this because we want to filter in different ways that we can't filter on Ancestry or Family Search. And so by doing this, we can sit there and manage this data by individual columns. And so as you can see, we've got all 30 pages extracted. This really only took me about 10 minutes to extract all this. Kind of once you get into a workflow, you kind of get the idea of how to do it. So now we've got the top 3 frozen here, and we're going to create some filters. We're going to click into the number 3 row here where our headers are. We're going to come over here to filter, and we're going to custom filter this with this tab. Now you can see these little drop down arrows everywhere. So now this is where the magic happens. This is how I find Gus in this 30 pages of census. So you could search by Henley, nothing, Gnly, and hit OK, and it's going to truncate to just Henley. I'm still not seeing Henley in this list. So then I got to thinking, okay, let's filter in a different way. So we're going to go back. I'm going to select all. You can also come over here and hit clear filters, which is already grayed out because I've already cleared the filters. So then I thought, all right, I'm going to search by Henry. And I get a lot of Henrys, but I'm not getting any Henleys. So what's up with that? Why am I not finding any? He's still not showing up. So I'm like, okie dokie, let's clear that filter. I'm going to hit select all and go back. So then I got to thinking, all right, he's an 8-year-old boy. So in this census, he might be 7, 8, or 9 listed. So let's go by age. So if we go, I'm gonna deselect all. I'm going to drop down and go 7, 8, or 9-year-olds. And I've got a lot of them. So then I could say, all right, he's male. So we could go, let's deselect that and select male. We're getting a shorter list now. Okay, we still got a lot of people here. All right, so we're not sorting by name at all. We're sorting by age and gender so far. And then I got to thinking, well, wait a minute. If he's farmed out, he's an apprentice or something other than being at school or at home, because at home means he's in the home of his parents, most likely. So let's turn these off. And now we have apprentice and farmer. And bada bing, there he is. There is Gus Henley right there as an 8-year-old. I'm going to mark him in yellow so that I can see where he is. He is on image number 24. That's a long way from image 16 where his mother is. All right, so now here's what we're going to do. We're going to unfilter this. We're going to select all. Actually, let's just go over here and we're going to clear the filters. And we're going to see where he's at. So he is on image 24. All right, let's take a look at image 24. Now we've got all this data here, but let's look at it on the census record. So we're going to go back to the census record. We're going to dial in image 24. And we're going to zoom out a little bit so we can see where we are. Let's see if he's in here. And sure enough, there he is. He's listed as Gustavius. No wonder we couldn't find him. We couldn't find him as Gus. We couldn't find him as Henry. We couldn't find him even as Henley. He's with the family of Nathaniel Steele, which is another story in itself. Line 32. Let's go look at this. Line 32. Gustavus Henley, Henly. For some reason, it was not coming up in the search. Even though I did a search for Henly, nothing. Look at this. The Henley and the Gustavus are switched. The surname should be Henley, not Gustavus. But this is him. This is his birth year. He's apprenticed out. Okay. We could try to fix this in the index by clicking in here and then clicking into Gustavus' name and change it. But in this situation, it's not appropriate because the record, we don't ever want to change an original record. It would be one thing if it was just a typo. But in this case, in the surname column, it is listed as Gustavus. The census taker just wrote it wrong. In this case, I would not change it, but you could by double clicking into the names. Let's say it was a typo, somebody misread a letter. You could fix it by clicking into it, changing it, and then give a reason like it's a transcription error. Long story short, I'm not going to change it. I have marked it in my tree as to where he is. So now we found him. And let me tell you the story behind this. I get to looking at this and I'm going, okay, he is an apprenticed farmer, 8 years old, just as I had suspected. He's in the household of Nathaniel Steed. And then I got to thinking, wait a minute, Steed, that name sounds familiar. I think I've seen this before. Well, sure enough, I go to my tree and I search for the name Steed, and look at that. I have Nathaniel Steed, Benjamin Franklin Steed. So I'm going to look at Nathaniel Steed, and it's Benjamin Steed is the son of Nathaniel Steed. Okay, well, how does that relate? Well, we go back to Rebecca and look at her profile. I have done a lot of research on this woman. She had a lot of children out of wedlock, and sure enough, that one of the fathers is Benjamin Franklin Steed, who is the son of Nathaniel Steed, whom my great-grandfather Gus is living in his father's house. I think there's a story there. So now I can update my research notes and can put the right information in there with a source citation right there. And then I can move on to the next problem. I hope that was helpful. Please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget there is handout information in the description box below. And for the channel members and the Academy members and the Patreon members at the right levels, you already have the handouts. All right, thanks. See ya.